Good day, my name is John Cowie, the company is Gemco Associates, and we're an IT company in Scotland who train all over the UK in the field of Microsoft Office and project management solutions. I just want to do a short session with you today on selection techniques in Excel, because we've been doing an awful lot of work exporting and importing data into and out of Excel and having to move around a lot to select things and put new columns in and put new totals in at the bottoms of columns and check through data. And that's very difficult to do just scrolling around. The minute you've got any more than 100 rows or so, that's quite a big job. So what I want to do just now is show you some quick and simple techniques on how to do the sorts of things that let me do my work in half the time of a lot of other people, shall we say. So let me start off by putting my cursor in the middle of this data set here. So if I just click on it, if I were to want to select all of this data block, the principle behind this is that I've left spaces to make sure that this data block is defined as separate to other data blocks around it. So if you look at this one, there's a space here separating it from the NECO limited at the top, and there's a space here separating it from the totals rows beneath it. So in that sense then, there are boundaries that define this particular area here, and Excel knows that. Now if I want to simply move around the block, I can, for instance, use my control key in conjunction with the arrow or cursor keys, you might call them, on the keyboard. So if I do control up arrow, for instance, it finds the upper boundary of this block. If I do control right arrow, it finds the right hand boundary, control down arrow, the bottom boundary, and control left arrow, the left hand boundary. And that's not just because we're already in the A column. If I control down arrow now, notice it jumped to find the next block down. Yeah, or if I control arrow up, it jumps to find the next block up. Now, as far as selection techniques go, I can now select this block now that I'm in it, in fact anywhere in it at all, by using Control plus A. If I hold down my Control key and press A, it selects this data block. Now that doesn't matter whether it's 200 rows or 2 rows, or 20 columns or 30 columns or 200 columns. It doesn't matter. I want to show you an adjustable technique now for selecting things, and that can work in conjunction with a lot of the techniques that we've used already for just moving around. If I go to the top cell here, and if I hold down my Shift key and use my right arrow key, I can select its cell at a time. And then if I down arrow, I can take whole rows at a time, still holding down the Shift key. Yeah. Now, when I get to the bottom here, if I've decided that I've actually taken too much, I can shift and left arrow to reduce the selected area by a column. I could have shifted and up arrowed to reduce the selection by one row. Now if I'd wanted that to be quicker because it was actually tens of columns and thousands of rows, if I could just show you that quickly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from here again, and if you remember, control right arrow moved you to a boundary, control down arrow moves you to the lower boundary. So if I hold down my Shift key and use this slightly quicker way of moving around, Control and Shift and right arrow takes me right out to the right hand boundary from where I started, and Control and Shift and down arrow takes me right down to the very bottom. So I could be 30, 40,000 rows down by now, and it's all selected. And of course once something's selected, we can pivot it, chart it, export it to somewhere else, call it from some other piece of data if we wanted to give it a name, all of those sorts of things. So there's some really, really good tips there on selecting areas and selecting cells and moving around and all that sort of stuff. I'll finish off on a couple of others. For instance, Control End gets me to the end of the data on a sheet, and Control Home gets me to the very beginning. So if I wanted to select the whole sheet, I could either click out here, or I could do Control, or I could click back on here, do Control End, and then do Control Shift Home. Very simple. So, as I say, if you want to contact us at Gemco, here's the details. We'd be delighted to hear from you. We do courses all around the country, and we're very, very thorough in what we do. And don't forget, we offer free telephone support to any customers that come on our courses. Thank you very much for your attention. Look forward to hearing from you.